All right, local 1660 members, I'm Chris Hart, and I am here with driver, apparatus operator, engineer. You've been with Tualatin Valley for a long time. This is Mark Andre. You're with me virtually today. Wish you were in the divot room. It's pretty fun down here. What do you prefer? AO, apparatus operator, engineer, driver. Your position, like you guys have like 4 different kind of ways to address you. What do you prefer?
I would prefer podcast host.
I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to do this for me. This is kind of one of my forms of campaigning, is just to sit down with some members and of all different walks of life, whether they're battalion chiefs, officers, drivers, firefighters, different amounts of time with the fire district. But I just appreciate you being here today. And so I don't know, where do you want to start?
Well, I would just want to echo what you're saying and throw it right back at you. I think I speak for the line when I say that we all appreciate the fact that you're making yourself available. I mean, as of right now, we don't know that you have another candidate, so we can assume maybe you don't. And so I think it's important that you're getting questioned by the membership, and you're putting these podcasts out so people can kind of hear your viewpoint.
Yeah, I think it's important, right? I mean, I think it's just one way to be able to. I'm not going to be able to get to every coffee table in the fire district or the outer shops, and on every shift, right? I'm hoping to get to every station, every work site over the next couple of months, but it's going to be really difficult, so I might miss a few. So this is kind of that way to be able to get into those work sites that I maybe missed. I'm certainly not going to be able to get in front of every single member. So this is just another one of those ways to be able to hopefully maybe address some of those questions that everybody has, that you might have that other people are thinking of. So, and I know that you told me before we started recording here that you actually talked to some people over the past couple of weeks and they gave you some ideas. So yeah, I think it's good. So
yeah, the conversation has begun. So yeah, I'd like to, I guess, first of all, just say hi. It's been a while since you and I have had a chance to sit down and see each other's face.
Yeah,
it is virtual.
Yeah, it is cool. We worked together for about a year. I think we worked really well together. I certainly appreciate. I've been one of the luckiest company officers, I think, in the fire district. I think I was promoted lieutenant in 2014, and the drivers I have had over the years, never had to worry about.
Good. That's a good thing.
It is. It's such a. It's a little bit of a security blanket for an officer when you have a driver that. Now, of course, everyone's going to say, "Oh, well, he didn't drive, so that's good for him." But I did drive at Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue. I want to clear the record. I did drive at Tualatin Valley Fire and Rescue for 36 hours.
36 hours.
36 hours. I got worked up once for 12 hours, and then I took a call shift for 24. So
there, now you have it.
Yeah, there you go. So yeah, I had a great time working with you. So it's good to kind of be able to get back and chat a little bit.
Yeah, and that was during COVID too, which for a lot of us was a dark time. But we got through it together. And I don't know if I ever told you, but and this kind of leads into you being our next leader. You were able to, in a station where there was a lot of different political ideas, a lot of different ideas about what PPE somebody should or shouldn't be wearing at shift change or throughout the shift, you were able to kind of walk the line and keep everything copacetic. And I always appreciated that about you.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah.
Yeah, man.
It was a hard time, especially when we get people like Frank Saloa coming in and just saying, I just have allergies. No, Frank, you have COVID.
Right.
I love you, Frank Saloa, if you do listen to this. But yeah, that was one of my memories from. He was probably working for you, so you didn't get exposed.
Well, actually, no. It's a similar story at 35s. Tim Weathers had allergies, and it was like like the middle of winter. It's like, buddy, yeah, those aren't allergies. There's no pollen right now.
Yeah, it was amazing though how many times we were exposed to COVID and didn't get it though. Yeah, it is crazy how that kind of process has worked. So, yeah.
Should we get started?
Yeah, let's do it. What do you got?
Well, so I listened to the previous podcast that you did with Ledson, which I thought was really well done, and you talked in sort of in generalities about, what motivates you, where the fire comes from. But I guess I wanted to talk a little bit more about, what you think a good, strong union leader is and kind of what your leadership style will look like.
Yeah. I've been asked, or at least in different classes and stuff, well, what's your leadership style? I actually have never been able to articulate my leadership style. And I think you kind of alluded to it, just the way that I run my crews, just a little bit laid back, just kind of, make sure everybody's happy. And just, but calling it out when it needs to be called out, right? Like I'm kind of one of those guys around the station, like, you're going to, your job, do your job. When it comes to the fire ground, we need people, we need company officers just step up and make decisions quickly. Right. And I think that's kind of where I am. And I think that kind of bleeds into union leadership is if we need to make decisions, I'll make decisions quickly. Right. And we're going to, not quickly, not like on a fire ground, but if something gets brought up and the union president needs to make the decision, then the union president will make the decision. When I ran for vice president, I had a podcast with Matt Leach, and Matt Leach didn't ask me what my leadership style is. He told me what my leadership style is. He said, "You're a servant leader." And then after he said that, I was like, so I actually just kind of had to look it up and just, what does he even mean by that? And as I was reading more into it, I was like, well, that actually makes a lot of sense. And it kind of is what I am, whether it's on duty, off duty, union leadership, whatever it may be. That's just kind of how I am. And, it also, it's kind of in that tagline or slogan that I have, lead with ownership and unite with gratitude. I mean, it truly is. Like, I preach it to my kids. I preach it to everybody. Take ownership for your actions, and I'll do the same. If I mess up, I'll be the first one to admit it. If somebody has to call me out that I messed up, it's probably because I didn't know that I messed up. But once somebody calls me out on it, then I'll be the first one to say, "You're right. I did mess up, and I'm sorry." And so I think that's kind of part of it too, is just taking ownership, leading with ownership, and then just being a servant leader, being there for people. We're all humans. We all bring something different to the table, and just being able to recognize that we're all different and we're all going to be, it's a team effort, right? So I kind of talked in circles.
Well, no, it's what you said at the beginning. It's a hard thing to define. It's a hard thing to put your finger on. We all know a good leader when we see it. But it's hard to explain what a good leader is because there's so many situations that a leader is going to be put in. Yeah,
and I think just being able to make the decisions and the confidence to be able to make the decisions, but also the confidence to be able to say, I don't know. I think that kind of has a lot. Now, I think you just kind of said it there too, is I could probably tell a lot of people why you're a good leader. You could probably tell people why I'm a good leader. We have a hard time telling other people why we're good at something, right?
Right.
Like I could tell you how I'm really bad at things, right? That's easy for me to do, but
humility is a quality of a good leader, and that's what you're pointing out.
There you go.
So I guess if we were to drill down a little bit more, how would your leadership style help us when dealing with management, or help lead the troops during a hard time like COVID, when there is some strife amongst the ranks?
I think. I'm calm under pressure. I think that's just the nature of our job. I think a lot of us are. And I think being able to just think reasonably and look at everything from as many different angles as possible before you just make a decision. Try to get management to look at things from every different angle possible. 521 is a good example. Over the last, decade plus, I've been on the 521 committee, and I have a lot of vested interest. And that's going to be one of those things, and we can maybe talk about it a little bit, about that I might let go and let somebody else do it. But it's going to be really hard for me to not want to be able to be part of that committee anymore because I put so much time and effort into it. And it's funny when I sit around a coffee table and somebody questions about 521 or why aren't we doing this or why are we doing this? And it's kind of one of those things where, if I can just articulate it to somebody, like, well, I get what you're saying, but here's why it wouldn't work. And we've thought about that too. But here's why. If we do this, then this and this and this are going to happen. Oh, I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
And if we're willing to change this, what you're saying, how are we going to change these other three things that are going to be affected? And then what's going to be affected by those three things changing? And so I think just being able to have the bigger picture, and with management telling us too, like, well, if we change that, what about this? I didn't think about that, right? So
it's dynamic.
Yeah, it absolutely is. So I don't remember your original question.
Well, I was just wondering your leadership style, and I think you spoke to it. And when you were talking to Letson in the previous podcast, you also spoke to how your leadership style can help us when dealing with management. You mentioned you might have a hard time, like giving some of the stuff up. Do you tend to spread yourself too thin sometimes, do you think, or are you able to like walk away when you need to walk away?
Well, that's probably a better question for people that I live with.
You might not get the answer you want, though.
my wife would definitely say I'd spread too thin. I feel like I can manage a lot of things that I have going on. Most of the things that I have going on aren't busy work, right? You look at Dallas Haynes. He's got a lot of numbers, a lot of like just stuff going on, a lot of computer work, a lot of stuff that he needs to keep track of. I've got a lot of phone calls, meetings, not a ton of like, I don't know how to articulate that, but I don't work in spreadsheets and documents and stuff like that a ton.
Yeah.
I'm more dealing with personnel issues. I'm more dealing with just dealing with management on different things, whether it's 521 or civil service issues. Again, get me back on track here.
No, you've talked a lot about collaboration,
okay.
And collaboration obviously can be fruitful at times, but it could also mean compromise sometimes.
Yeah.
So I guess I wanted to give you an opportunity to like maybe share an example in previous negotiations, because I know you've negotiated contracts with us and with other shops, but like when has collaboration worked better or been more fruitful than conflict?
Yeah, and I think I probably spoke about this with Letson as far as the labor management relationship, and there's a lot of benefits when that relationship is good. You can collaborate on a lot of things. Now, what does collaboration mean? Is it you both come together with an idea and you work together to get to that idea? Or does one come to the table with an idea and the other one says, no, right? Like right now, we bring something to management. They're like, no, bring it to bargaining. Okay, well, thanks for at least trying to talk to us about it, right? And vice versa, right? Management comes to us with something. We're like, yeah, no, let's just talk about that at bargaining. So that to me isn't necessarily lack of collaborating. That to me is just, we just don't want to deal with that right now. Let's talk about it later. I could tell you right now, one of the biggest things I dealt with, I can't even remember if I was a union officer. I think I was just a lieutenant on the executive board. The tattoo policy that we currently have.
Yes.
Remember under Chief Dyke when it was like, no tattoos. If
Absolutely.
you have any, you got to cover them up. It's like, okay. So we went through that. Derek became the fire chief. He put inclusion on the bullseye. Mm-hmm. So I went to Chief Frentress and said, hey, I think we have a problem here, and I think we have an opportunity to change it. What do you think about changing the tattoo policy? And he said, sounds good. Let's check it out. Let's talk. So we met probably about 3 or 4 different times. I went through, I talked to a few different people. I don't have any tattoos, so I really don't care. I just care about our membership, and I cared about just the fact that we had inclusion on the bullseye now, but we have this group of people that weren't included. So I also was thinking, okay, what's reasonable, right? Because we don't want somebody with a shaved head and tattoos all over, right? I mean, we have to be reasonable and professional still, because professionalism's still in the bullseye. So I kind of had to think that way, like, okay, what's management going to be okay with? So I actually looked up the policy for Starbucks and modeled my sample policy is what Starbucks had. They basically didn't allow face or throat tattoos. And I think we settled on face and neck tattoos. I can't remember. Yeah. And I also kind of tried to figure out, okay, who in our fire district has tattoos, and who in our fire district has tattoos that, like, can we draft this policy that they would be able to fit into this policy?
Sure.
Right. We don't want to draft a policy and be like, oh, this person actually has, throat tattoos. Right. So I kind of looked around kind of to get an idea of who had tattoos. And then I, looked at different policies at different corporations. And I think Kenny and I just sat down, we worked on it together and came up with the current tattoo policy. And I think that's a great example of management willing to work with us when we brought something to the table, and we came up, I think, with a pretty good, reasonable policy. Now, there might be some people have asked me, like, hey, when are we going to change the tattoo policy? I want to get a face tattoo. I'm like, dude, come on, man. We just changed it, right? Like, I get it. Like, maybe we could try to address it again.
Somebody's going to come to you with the new Starbucks handbook and show you that it says you can now have face tattoos.
Right. Who would want a throat tattoo anyways? That seems like it would hurt. Gosh, just right there. I'd get like like an X right on, what is that? You're a paramedic too.
The Adam's apple.
Yeah, what is it? Where do we put the trach? The membrane,
thyroid ring. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it's funny. I saw Kenny as he went out the door. Kenny and I had a relationship prior to him being in management, where he became, at least had the image of being very robotic and rigid.
Yeah.
I knew him when he and I were on a rescue together. So anyways, we had lunch together right before he went out the door. And to your credit, Chris, we haven't talked about this, but he actually brought that story up to me.
Oh, really?
He said that one of his, I don't know if he said regrets, but just that he wished that he could have got out and be seen more as who he really was than, what his image became. And he said as he was talking about this, he said there was only one person that's ever come to him and said, I need your help changing something. And it was you came to him and said, we have members who have tattoos. We're not keeping up with the age. And he said, you know what I did? He goes, I worked with Chris and we got it changed. Yeah. And he just talked about how he wished that would have happened more, but that's to your credit too, because he didn't seem approachable at all times.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. We didn't talk about that. That's interesting that came up. It's, that just validates my story there. Thank you. Yeah. I had a relationship with Kenny too. He got hired at Westland Fire Department when I was a volunteer there. So it's just kind of one of those guys, right? All those Westland guys that I looked up to. And, so I met him for beers because I wasn't going to be in town on his last day. So we met up here in Willamette for a couple beers, and it was good. It was good just to kind of hang out with him before he left. And I think Kenny's leaving on a good note. He's been put through the ringer the last few years, and some of it's brought on himself, right? I mean, we're all human, and we're all
it's always a two-way street.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
So are you interested in talking a little bit just about maybe not necessarily the nuts and bolts of negotiations? Because I know that you're going to put out a survey, or if you are the union president, that survey will come out. But just more kind of the framework in the past negotiations where we ended up working without a contract. It seemed like there was, some headbutting going on between both sides. Our next union president, it's no secret that they're going to have to hit the ground running. After 26 years of having the same union president that we've had, uh, our next president is going to have to begin negotiating the contract day one.
Yeah.
How does somebody approach that? I mean, that's a big, heavy lift, and I mean, it's going to come at all eyes are going to be on that person.
Yeah.
So, how do you approach that?
Well, I've gone through bargaining before, so just understanding like the framework and just how the processes work and the timelines and all that kind of stuff. I understand how it's organized and how it works. I've bargained two contracts in Hoodland. I bargained a contract in Woodburn. Helped with TVF&R bargaining, and now I'm helping with the Portland Air Base. So there's 5 contracts in 4 years. Even like Portland's local, they just have Portland, and they have the Port of Portland. And I don't think their president, Isaac, helps with the Port of Portland's bargaining. So, he's probably bargaining a contract every 3 or 4 years. Yeah. So our union officers get a lot of bargaining experience in a short amount of time. And that's huge. And I think that's credit to us. And I think that's probably why the fire district wanted to use a lawyer last time, because they knew we were good, especially Rocky, right? I mean, Rocky's been doing it a long time. So I think that was part of the fire district's reason for bringing the lawyer in, is lack of experience on their end. And just knowing that Rocky was good. And I shouldn't say lack of experience on their end. I don't know who's going to be on their bargaining team this time.
The bargaining team didn't have somebody leading it up that had bargained, 30 contracts over 26 years.
Mark Cross.
So, that's for sure.
Yeah, Mark Cross is probably the one that probably had the most experience just on the union side of things. Laura Hitt has been part of bargaining on management side for a while, so she has some experience. But yeah, I would say if it's me, I'll be ready to bargain the next contract. We'll prepare the membership. We'll put a survey out. We'll do some, maybe have some opportunities on like a town hall to maybe field some questions and get some kind of deeper opinions based on the survey. I really just want to get a good idea and pulse on where the membership is, because if we just kind of chip away at things here and there, that's fine. But if the membership tells me let's make some leaps and bounds in some certain areas, and then not so much in some certain areas, maybe we'll do that. But again, I keep saying it's down the road, but
it is down the road.
Well, but it's not, right? I mean, it's already July. Come September, October is when we really want to start kind of figuring out where's our membership at, because then in January, we're probably going to start talking to management. Come February, March, April, we're going to be in the middle of bargaining. And so it's going to be here before we know it. Yeah. And I mean, there's different ways of, what does it look like? What does bargaining look like? Are we going to be bargaining against a lawyer? Are we going to be bargaining just in a smaller group? Are we going to do what we used to do? And maybe we just go away for a few days, because you and I were talking about it before. And, for me, I think one of the reasons contracts negotiations get kind of drawn out is we're never at a point where this is our final offer, we're going to go to arbitration if you guys don't take it. Our biggest problem was just trying to coordinate 10 different schedules of people that are really, really busy. And next thing you know, one meeting's over and the next meeting's not for another 5 weeks, and nothing gets done in between those meetings. So that's probably the biggest hurdle in bargaining, is just coordinating the schedules. So
do you see the lay of the land, the environment that the next president is going to be in when negotiations begin, as being one of kind of fresh air where everybody gets to kind of reset? Or do you think there'll be some carryover from the previous negotiation where we were without a contract?
Well, it depends who it is. If it's me, I feel like there could be some fresh air, and I've talked about it with Chad, and you and I have kind of alluded to it before the meeting, and I think this is one of the membership's biggest concerns about me is my relationship with Derek, and I think that the personal relationships with management, I know my boundaries, I know like I know my job, and I know what I can do with it. I'm going to use my relationships to be able to help me do my job. So if I have a relationship with the fire chief or the assistant chief or deputy chief, I'm going to use those relationships to my advantage, not to manipulate them. But we've worked hard to keep those relationships good. Therefore, when it comes to contentious times, you're going to be able to get through them pretty easily. Well, I mean, you should be able to, right? So I feel like there's going to be a little bit of fresh air because of the relationship that I have with the fire chief. And who knows if that's going to be an advantage or we can get more or whatever. I don't really know. But I do know that if I didn't have a good relationship with the fire chief, so if it wasn't me and somebody else comes in, and they don't have a good relationship with the fire chief or haven't had that opportunity to develop that relationship, then it's going to be really hard to try to develop a relationship over 3 months and try to figure out like, hey,
during negotiations.
Yeah. Well, and here's the other thing too, and I can't remember, I've said it several times. I can't remember if I said it with Ledson or not, but you know, we always talk about when it's time to get a new fire chief, like, oh, we should go to the outside, right? Well, what if we got some guy from California that came up here and just tried to turn this place over? We'd be like, holy crap. Like, this is not good, right?
It could go two ways.
So then bargaining might get really contentious and bargaining might be really difficult. And we might have, you know, it might be really, really, really hard.
So coming back to the current leadership, so I guess what I want to hear from you is, so if they start digging in on us, all the collaboration that you work towards, like how far are you going to let them push you before you tell them enough's enough?
Oh, I mean,
you do have the long-standing relationship with them, so I guess that can make it easier or maybe harder.
Yeah, I mean, I think I would have my boundaries. Like I know where we're at as a labor force. I know what we want, and I know where we're going to go. And in bargaining, it's a game, right? I mean, we can go into bargaining and be like, this is what we want, this is what we're going to get, and then 2 months later, you're like, shit, we're not going to get that, right? So it's one of those kind of things that I can I can't really forecast what's going to happen in bargaining, but what I can say is I'm not going to give up something for our membership just because I don't want to piss off management. You know, I'm going to stick to my guns and I'm going to get our membership what I feel like we can get. And I don't care what management has to say. Like, this is where we're going to stay. And if you don't agree with it, then I guess we might have to go to arbitration. Right. Yeah. So, but that's so far down the road, and it would take a long time to get to that point because you're both here. Right. And then you just kind of get to a point where hopefully you're kind of in the middle. You're going to have to try to figure out, all right, we're not going to be able to get that. Maybe we kind of drop this off and try to stick to trying to get in this. And there's so many different dynamics. I know I'll have a good team. Lee Trotter's great at bargaining. He's bargained a lot of contracts. I know that we have a lot of good experience on our team. So good. We'll be just fine.
Where do you think Clackamas and Lake Oswego went wrong? How did their negotiations break down? Is there any lessons learned for us?
I don't really want to speak on that because I think those two entities probably took a different approach at bargaining, and they're dealing with also some contentious relationships. And I don't know their approach on bargaining as far as how they figure out how, you know, their pay scales and they're going to stick to their guns on a certain thing. So I can't really speak to that because I wasn't there. I do know that, you know, during bargaining, when you get to a point where like, well, we're not willing to give anymore. We feel like this is reasonable. We feel like you should be able to pay for it. I mean,
and they got to that point apparently, huh?
Yeah, they're going through arbitration right now. You know, I mean, they're not going to find out what their contract is in Clackamas probably for another couple of months.
Yeah, I'm here in August from Clacking Sky now.
Yeah. And now they're browning out stations or something and staffing down to person trucks. Like, it's not good.
All right. Well, we covered, I think, what I had on my agenda. I know that there's going to be further podcasts where you get more into, the nuts and bolts of maybe some of these topics. But I wanted to follow up on your last podcast with Ledson. And I think we did that.
Yeah.
Is there anything else?
Yeah, I will say, I mean, as far as getting into the nuts and bolts of stuff, I think what our membership, I know that bargaining is there. We're talking about it, right? We're talking about the next contract, and we started talking about it in the fall. I'm like, well, our contract isn't even up until the end of June of 2026. So, but what I will say is we will start talking about it. We will start putting surveys out in the fall. We will start talking about it. So when your union leadership starts talking about it, then let's really kind of dig in. And that's when we can figure out, like, do we fight for floater bags with wheels? Or do we fight for more health care, right?
Yeah.
That's the kind of stuff. And, Mark, you laugh, and some of our membership is like, floater bags with wheels, what's that? But that literally was
but
that.
We were
literally
also promised water bottles this last when the last chief came in, and we never got those. But, I digress.
No, that was funny though, because that actually was on the survey. It was floater bags with wheels. So
right,
and I think we got them like 10 years later or something like that. Yeah. So, and it was good, right? It was supposed to reduce injuries. Like, we had all the argument, we had all the points, and so
I'll take healthcare.
there you go. Yeah. So I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you. I appreciate the time that you took out of your day. Anything else?
I appreciate the same thing, Chris. No, thanks for putting yourself out there again. I don't know why you are so willing to put yourself out there, but I think we all appreciate it. And I'd say keep on fighting the good fight, and we'll see you in September? Is that when the meetings are going to start again?
Second Thursday in September is when nominations are. And so far I haven't heard of anybody else running. But this is why I'm putting myself out there early. So
that can only mean two things: that we all think you're crazy, or we all think you're too good, and there isn't anyone else that thinks they can compete. So.
Or a little bit of both. Yeah.
No, thanks, Chris.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, Mark.